Salutations, my name is Summer, and this is Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. And we have Sylvie in my lap today, being all lovey-dovey. I want to talk about what I've finished in the past 2 weeks, because I didn't do this last week, and what I'm currently reading. So, some of these I talked about before while I was reading them, so I'm not going to say too much. I don't think I ever say too much, do I? At least I try not to. Okay. She's getting situated here. Okay. Um, so I finished State of Wonder by Anne Patchett. This is my first Anne Patchett. This was recommended to me by Sarah MG Reads. I'll link her channel down below. I haven't seen her in a while. I'm behind on a lot of my videos, but I'm pretty sure she hasn't put anything out. And hold on a second. Let me close this with. I live on 50, so it was getting loud. This book I liked. I go back and forth between really liking it and liking it because it was so suspenseful. The whole 90% of the time you're in the rainforest, so it's like who knows what's going to happen. You know, you have cannibals and you have anacondas and madness. So I was stressed out thinking things were going to be a lot worse than they ended up being. But it kept me, it was intriguing. It kept me interested all the way through. So thank you so much, Sarah, for recommending this to me. A book I absolutely loved was Not My Father's Son by Alan Cumming. This is a story, a memoir. So you get to learn about his life and the struggles that he's had and his relationship with his brother and father and mother. And Not My Father's Son, the title of it is perfect for what we learn about. There were so many great things in here. There was a part that I wanted to share. Um, he's played quite a bit of drag, so he said something about women that I thought was interesting. He talks all about, having to wear high heels, having to have his whole body. I forget the name of the brand that he used, but it's like Nair, where you put it on and your hair comes right off. But if you're sensitive, if your skin is sensitive, or if you leave it on too long, because I've used it one time. I've just given up on my hair. I'm just a hairy lady, whatever. But I used it one time when I was a teenager and I left it on too long. It took my skin off. Then I had a big scab that was even more noticeable than the hair to begin with. So I was like, nope, not even messing with it. He says, okay. So he goes into all the details of everything he has to do. And then he says, being a woman, even one with a penis, and for the purpose of drama, really made me feel that women have been coerced into a way of presenting themselves that is basically a form of bondage. Their shoes, their skirts, even their nails seem designed to stop them from being able to escape, whilst at the same time drawing attention to their sexual and secondary sexual characteristics. And I think that this has happened so that men feel they can ogle them and protect them in equal measure. I love him. Not My Father's Son was beautiful, beautiful story. I'm so happy. I found it at a library book sale. I'm so happy that I read it sooner than later. Okay. Peg at the History Show. I read it. So she recommended this to me. Last year I did a video where I asked for recommendations, and so many of you guys, I have your recommendations down, and I haven't got to them yet, and others I've already read. So anyway, Mrs. Dalloway, I had this on Goodreads as 1 star. I now have it as 3 stars. I'm not sure if I like her writing. It was very flowery and overdone, I think. And I'm sure that's what people love about her writing. But for me, I just felt like it was so dramatic. So I did like the characters. Well, I didn't like the main character, but I liked the male characters. Um, oh, Sylvie. I have a little one coming up here. Come here. Oh, her name isn't, Primrose is not sticking. The name just doesn't seem to fit right. And if you can see, Sylvie is not happy about this little one. She's feeling much better. I have to take her soon to get her stitches removed from being fixed, and second distempers. Oh, let's just stay. Let's stay away from Sylvie, okay? All right. So Mrs. Dalloway, that that wasn't. I'm glad I reread it because I had said I wasn't quite fair. 1 star is not fair for Virginia Woolf. Um, anyway, thank you, Peg, for recommending it to me. And I'll link her channel down below because I do love Peg. Okay, I also finished Bone Cross by Patricia Briggs. This is the Mercy Thompson series. I want to say this is the second one, but it could be the third because it's been a while. But I'm thinking it's the second book. I enjoyed it. Mercy Thompson is a mechanic who is also she can turn into a coyote, and she has a werewolf lovers. So that was lots of fun. I finished Z-Tune. Ooh, but you can't really see this. By Dave Eggers. I had talked about this before while I was reading it. It's about Katrina and what some of the things that went down. He was arrested out of his own home. All they had to do was say, "Let me see your license," because he showed them his license with his name, address, photo, and they arrested him. And he was actually taking care of a lot of people's in the surrounding area, their dogs that they had left. And he had told them when they arrested him, he said, "Listen, I can give you the addresses of these homes of where I'm feeding these dogs and giving them water every day." And they're like, "Oh, we'll take care of it." So yeah, I cried quite a bit in this book when he finally gets out and goes to the homes where he has been taking care of the dogs. He finds them dead, and it's just, oh, and you know what? Okay, the thing that upsets me the most about this is I feel like if Katrina was to happen today, little one, she's sneezy. Luckily, none of my other cats are sick, and she was tested for FIV and feline leukemia, but they were talking to me about FIP, and I had never heard about that before. And I had asked them, I was like, "Well, did you test her for it?" And they're like, "No, everything's so new." Well, I just didn't know what it was. And so last night I was Googling, and FIP is coronavirus. So luckily, none of my other cats are sick. It's been going on almost 3 weeks since I've had her. Knock on wood. Okay, anyway, my point is, I feel like if Katrina was to happen today, what would we do differently? How would things be differently? And it scares me to think that if it was to happen today, that nothing would be different. That's what really scares me about reading this book is, have we learned our lessons when it comes to disasters and how people, the way things should work, how we should handle it, how we should be able to take care of each other and help each other. Okay, so this is my first Bernard Cornwell. The Last Kingdom is the first book in a series. So I really enjoyed this. It was a fast read. It just was like fly through. I don't know all that much about this time in history. I really enjoyed Ragnar, and I wanted to. Sorry, something happened here. I wanted to What in the world is happening? My computer's trying to restart. Anyway, um, now my brain is all messed up. I wanted to know more about Ragnar, and so I'm or is that his name, Ragnar? Rhaegar? Now I'm starting to think about George R. R. Martin's characters. Anyway, I was wanting to know more about him, and then instead of Uthred or the main character, but I loved it. I'm excited. I have the Pale Horseman or the Pale Horse downstairs to read. So I finished As I Lay Dying. This took me maybe 3 days to read because guys, this is my first Faulkner. I absolutely loved it. I could imagine reading this again and again and again. So I understand now when Una says, I want to read it one more time before I talk about it. I'm doing this in a read along with Becky and Scott over at the Bookish Bryans, and I'll link their channel down below. I can't tell you how much I love this. I love the writing. I love that every chapter is someone else's perspective of what is going on. And I don't feel like I'm going to be giving anything away by telling you really about this book. Um, As I Lay Dying is the title. So the mother of the family, Addie, is dying and dies. And oh my gosh, I was, through the whole book, there was times I was just horrified about what was going on. But then horrified and it had a humor to it, which is hard to explain. I loved all the characters. Um, well, not the father. Ans, I think was his name. Okay, I didn't like Ans. And it was funny because the women, like Cora, who I believe is a neighbor, and Rachel is the wife of a neighbor, they kept talking about how Ans was just a jerk and how Addie deserved better. And I kept thinking, okay, well, they keep saying this, but he hasn't really done anything to make me feel like he's that bad. Oh, anyway, my heart went out to all of these characters. It was a big family and a lot of different ages. So yeah, Darl. I always want to say Daryl. Darl and Dewey Dell, Jewel, uh, Vardaman, the the youngest son, Vardaman, or something like that. Anyway, we hear about the neighbors, people in town. Yeah, it's a wonderful story. It's heartbreaking. Absolutely loved it. Can't wait to read another Faulkner. I hope he's not a one-hit wonder for me. So I'm a little nervous about trying something new. I finished My Cousin Rachel. It took me years. I don't know. It probably took me a year to finish this. I never wanted to pick it back up. This is by Daphne du Maurier, I think is how you say it. Oh, guys, it was just so slow to me. And I ended up like halfway through watching the movie because I thought maybe the movie will like make me want to read it, like pick it up because it'll excite me if something's going on in it. No, the ending is different. So if you watch the movie, the ending is very different than the book. But I wasn't impressed. I haven't read anything else by her. I do own not Rebecca, but I do own a couple of other of her books. So I'll try her again. I finished the Forsyth, well, not the Forsyth Saga. This book is actually huge. Um, this is just book one, The Man of Property by John Galsworthy. And I had talked about this already. I really enjoyed it, and I am looking forward to reading. I actually bought the bind up, so if you hear me talk about the Forsyth Saga, it will be just one big book now. Um, yeah, none of the characters are likable. My favorite character is like the worst character, Soames. Um, but yeah, I thought it was great. Looking forward to reading more. Okay, now what I'm currently reading. I'm doing a buddy read with Mark over at Book Time with Elvis. I'll link his channel down below. Also, he had a fantastic video. He did a tag. Oh, and now I'm not going to be able to think about what it was called. But it's all about booktubers recommend. I think it might be called. And so yeah, I'll link his channel down below. Definitely check Mark out. We are reading Cold Comfort Farm together, and he's I think a chapter ahead of me. Did I start chapter 6? Oh, I read chapter 6. So if Mark, if you're watching this, I finished chapter 6. Um, and here's the thing. I don't dislike it, but I don't like it. Um, and I'm hoping that we get like halfway through, I start liking it more. It's just so weird. I don't understand half of what's going on. I feel so confused. The writing also is strange. Like the writing's it's not like Virginia Woolf, but it's kind of like flowery. And I'm not sure. I just don't know what's going on. And like a cow loses its leg, and it's like, oh well, nobody's gonna want to buy a cow with that with 3 legs. And I'm thinking, it just fell off. Like what kind of? I don't know. The main character is very unlikable, Flora. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. We will continue on. I have to tell you, I am loving reading it with Mark, though. This is the first time I've read a book with him, and I just love our messages that we have and getting to know him better. Okay, so I started Homage to Catalonia by George Orwell. This is 1936, 1937. George Orwell goes to Spain to, I don't know if he's like is like a journalist or something. He's supposed to write about the war, but then he joins. And I didn't really like George Orwell at first, his personality, because I thought, well, he's kind of snooty and thinking he's better than these people. And he had said when like bombs or gunfire comes down that he won't flinch or something, and he did. It's like, yeah, reality, you're in war, you could be killed at any second. And so I like that he actually shows some vulnerability after acting like a big tough guy. So I'm not very far in it. I'm on page 30. Really enjoying this. So I have his diaries also I plan to read. The only thing I've ever like of his novels that I've read was 1984, and I wasn't impressed by it, guys. It was like I was raised to believe all those things, so it was kind of like this is nothing new. Um, but I know some of you guys love it, so I am buddy reading 84 Charing Cross Road by Helene Hanff. Not sure if I pronounced that right, with Jackie over at Jackie Lou's Book Queue. And yes, I'm hoping someday that she has videos because I am loving this is our second buddy read together, and I love hearing her thoughts about the books and just getting to know her better too. She's also in our As I Lay Dying buddy read that Scott and Becky is having. So yeah, this is a collection of letters, and I'm a sucker for letters. Uh, so yeah, I'm not very far. I'm on page 40, and it's talking about rations and over in London, how they have I want to say only one. Oh my gosh, that Lillikin. I gotta get a name for her. Primrose was not sticking. She doesn't know her name anyway. I she's the sweetest cat in the world, but she's not the brightest. And I think it's because she's been sick, with the whole um but every time she sees me, she's like so surprised. And it's like, I've been here all day, cat. I mean, I haven't today. And I go to work every day, but today the routine was off, and so every time she's seen me today, she's like, "You're here." She's precious. Anyway, but yeah, I don't have a name for her. Okay, they're talking about rations. I think it was like 1 egg per person per month. Meat, which I don't eat meat, so this really like means nothing to me. She's using the scratcher. But it was like 2 ounces of meat per person per week. and that means nothing to me. But it sounds like very little. So yeah, and so Helene is in New York. She's like a struggling writer, and so she starts sending all these gifts to this bookstore, and I'm loving their relationship, and I'm really enjoying reading it with Jackie. Okay, so now I'm not even prepared. Maybe Midrash, is that what it's called? Jason over at Old Blues Chapter and Verse. I'll link his channel down below. I did not plan on reading anything religious, nonfiction, or fiction. I thought I just been kind of winging it the past couple of months, and that's really been working for me. Anyway, I started Called Out of Darkness by Anne Rice. This is a spiritual confession, and it's talking about how it starts off when she was, just a kid. She's raised Catholic. She married her husband. She became atheist, and then after he died, she's gone back to being Catholic again. I'm like halfway through. The funny thing is, the reason why I know all this is because I've read this before. I had forgot about it, and since I'm not remembering everything, it's like a brand new book to me. Um, I'm rereading it. Also, Anne Rice, when she was born, her name was Howard Allen. I don't know what her last name was, but she was born with the first and middle name Howard Allen. Her father's name was Allen. Hey, Rolo. So it's like so weird for a girl to be named Howard. Anyway, she she created the name Anne, and it wasn't Anne with an E. I mean, it is, but it wasn't because of that, because she was not a reader when she was a kid. Okay, guys, the last thing. Sorry this video is so long. I started The Institute by Stephen King. It's been too long. Too long. Well, I read If It Bleeds last year. But that's a collection of 4 short stories. Actually, there might be a novella and 3 short stories. Also, one of the stories in If It Bleeds, you really should read the Mr. Mercedes trilogy before you read that story. Otherwise, I don't know how it would make sense. Okay, The Institute by Stephen King. You know what? I'm not going to talk about this until I get further along. Uh, because I'm only on page 60. So I'm not really quite sure everything that's going on. I love Stephen King. I love his writing. He's talked about George R. R. Martin, how much he loves Tyrion. His character, Tim, loves Tyrion Lannister, and he was one of my favorites also. So anyway, guys, sorry. That's why I try to do a video every week, so I don't have this long, rambling video like I had today. I hope everybody has had a great May so far and that they're feeling well. I know this weather's been very strange in every place, I think, and everything's been in bloom, and people have trouble with allergies. Anyway, yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. Let me know what you guys have been reading. If you have any thoughts on any of these books, do not spoil anything for me for the Institute, because I bought this in 2019 and I'm finally getting to it. I like to have some books of his lined up that I haven't read yet before I read some more. Here's Rolo. You guys don't really get to see him. He's trying to mess with my bottle. What are you doing? He's getting so big. Okay. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.